A warm welcome to you wherever it is you're reaching us from around the world. This is Enterprise Morning on Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. In a bit, we'll be going to our newspaper headline to see what we have for you this morning. And right after that, in a jiffy, would be our main conversation. Please do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetv.com. Like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. With me in the studios today to do justice to our newspaper reviews is Mr. Cyril Abaku. He is a communicator and also a public affairs analyst. Good morning.
Thank
and
you.
Welcome to Enterprise Morning.
Thank you.
All right, so quickly let's start off our newspaper headlines with the first daily, and this is coming from the Punch newspaper. And the big story there says EFCC may prosecute 300 forex racketeers. And right there says EFCC gets ordered to freeze 300 accounts, says one account transacted $15 billion illegally. And Naira would have crashed massively if 300 accounts were not frozen, and that's coming from the EFCC chairman. And also on the top street of the same newspaper, Air Nigeria, Sirika goes on trial for 8 billion naira fraud. Dangote drops diesel to 940 naira, station sell 1,400 naira. CBN releases more dollars as naira weakens to 1,300 naira. And also on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, bullying, Abuja school shots, victim sue. And lastly, we have it, Yoruba Nation, Afeni Ferre, slams Akintoye and Igboho. Mr. Cyril, let's take a look at Air Nigeria. Of course, we can't talk about that without mentioning one of those persons with the skin in the game, and that is Sirika. Now, he's been held for 8 billion naira fraud by the EFCC. Do you think this is coming too late?
Of course, coming very late, rather very late, and worries me enough to ask whether they can pull this off, really. It won't be the first time we would see them arrest a minister, our next minister, take them in for questioning, but too often everything just dies out or peters out, and you wonder whether they mean to do the things they say they want to do. It raises a lot of vital questions about the trajectory and the history. Coming from where we're coming from, this is like a drama that has played out way too often. And like I said, until we see it buried, we cannot really beat our chest to say that this is going somewhere. The fraud that was the Nigeria Air project is all too clear for anybody to see. Is all too clear. The counterpart of the fraud in Ethiopia have long since been addressed. The head of the Ethiopian Airlines, back when Sirika, that struck the deal with Sirika, resigned honorably. He resigned. I can't remember if he faced prosecution, but he resigned honorably to tell you how bad it was. Now, what is even this fraud? Sorry, just a detour.
Okay, please.
The fraud was not just about Nigerian Airways. It was about an entire sector that was without governance and government. It was about an aviation sector that had one man as sole administrator. He was now appointing boards of a lot of these agencies. So he was running the whole show de facto. And airport workers were not happy. They were complaining. He was the one who brought out the uncommercial policy of taking the fan headquarters from Lagos, to Abuja. There was even a scandal about lands belonging to fan that were being sold out to private individuals. I can't remember that one very well. But it was a whole lot. The minister kept insisting that the Nigerian Air would be launched before and what was the launch? Do you know this? The so-called Nigerian Airways flight came into Nigeria, unauthorized entry into our airspace. It landed. It was an Ethiopian Airlines aircraft.
Why would it be unauthorized when the aviation minister had
you don't know the story.
been instrumental to bringing it?
It flew into the country. It had been coated, let me use the word, coated in Nigerian Airways colors. As soon as they cut the ribbon, they flew it back to Ethiopia and removed the colors again. That's as far as I can remember. There are a lot of other issues around the whole thing. And this happened and nobody even cared to raise any eyebrows about it. There was a House of Reps investigation committee led by Nole Naji, who was then head of the chairman Aviation committee in House of Reps. He categorically called it a fraud. The only reason why nothing happened was because back then, I mean, why there was no such uproar from government, because back then it was their government. It was Buhari's government. So anything that happened then, people were just sort of keeping mute and quiet. As soon as Buhari left and Tinubu was sworn in, you know, the Nigerian Air was launched on May 28th. A day, one airline, one aircraft, a day to the end of the tenure. That's it. Come on. It landed. And people are cheering. Who did it fly to go where? Is that the launch? Is Nigeria Air now back in the air? Are we flying Lagos, Lisbon, Lagos, Toronto, Lagos, London, Lagos, Torino, or anything like that? Or even Lagos, Milan? We're not. Or Lagos, Washington? We're not.
But the big question is, why aren't we mentioning Muhammad Buhari in all of this, knowing that he is the superintendent? He ensured that all of these things worked. Why aren't we mentioning him here?
Well, maybe if it had been a security issue, I would have brought him because he was commander-in-chief. But aviation, let's just, well, is it because he's the president's nephew? Let's just say he was the aviation minister. Mm-hmm. And whatever it was he needed for his ministry or for his sector, government to release money to that sector for him to do his work. You can't really hold the president to account for that, all right? But in terms of oversight, perhaps, if mechanisms within the presidency were in place to check, which I believe they were, of course, were in place to check people's excesses, that is, ministers who are misbehaving, it now behoves the president to check, and if he was satisfied that the minister hadn't performed up to par or was going out of line, he could have sacked or fired him and put him on trial the way Tinubu has done with a better Edu, for example, and where Basanjo did with a lot of ministers, Fabian Usuji and Co. So that's another possibility. But we don't know that. So until investigation proves that President Buhari was complicit in whatever it was that was going on, I can't really bring him into it directly. But I do know, and we do know, that if you want to look at one of the things Sirika did. His younger brother, who is a civil servant in Abuja, was given contract as the CEO, as MDC of a company, and was getting plum contracts in the aviation sector. Now he too is roped in for 3.2 billion naira. You understand? At the airport in Lagos here, they said they were going to, they launched what was it called now? They launched fire trucks.
Yes.
About 12 of them.
Yeah.
For some
That was billions.
are you going to use the fire truck in Ukraine or in Gaza? Can I shock you?
Please do.
Those fire trucks, they just brought them to the airport, drove them, like you're learning driving. Drive, go front, drive, come back, then pack it back. That was all that they did. But that same airport, people are stealing runway lights. The last time I visited the old airport, it was a shame. You know what I think? We need to demolish that whole place. You see, the Chinese have gone ahead of us. You can build an airport within days. You actually can. A placeholder. You can do that. It's all about thinking and architecture. You can build a placeholder within days before you can come up with yes. Because even this airport, there's no airport in Nigeria. I'm sorry. Should I really be sorry? There's no airport in this country.
Of course.
Maybe there were airports at the time they were built. But as I speak to you today, there is no serious. You see, when you want to lay claim to a particular status or stature, some things should show it. Is that not so? Some things should show it. Nigeria, there is no standard airport in this country. Forget last time I flew to Abuja, I got to the airport in Lagos here. My flight was it 5 p.m. thereabout? A little after 5. I didn't get to Abuja until it was to 10 in the night.
Whoa.
And I don't remember getting any apology for that.
Maybe that could be flight delays from the owners of such flight and
the regulators tolerate it. My return flight from Abuja back to Lagos was even worse. It was for 7 a.m. I didn't get to Lagos until it was past 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Do you know now? So anybody thinking economics should ask, what does the economy stand to gain by such inconsistencies in what is arguably the biggest revenue earner and for transport in the country? One, and number two, one of the things you used to show that as a country you've come of age, aviation is part. I mean, a lot of things can tell, but aviation and and tertiary education are two things anybody within your country can easily use to tell that this country has come of age.
Very true.
So, but are we doing that? Only some weeks ago, a former governor's son had issues with he had not been let into a particular restaurant at the airport because he was in a wheelchair. But all of that is just by the way. Hadi Sirika has questions to answer, except the Efcc wants to play through to type. Because the other day it was after outcry, it was the DSS that took him in. We don't know how that ended. I personally didn't even know that he had gone back to his house. The former chairman of the Efcc, Abdulrashid Baba, where is he today? Nobody knows. The last we heard of him was that DSS also took him in. But where is he today? So there are many issues.
All right. So,
but
yes.
We don't even understand whether there's actually a template for fighting corruption or they're just doing this haphazardly. I want to believe that before you go to arrest somebody, there should be ample evidence. Look, Nigeria, the corruption in Nigeria is so much that when you want to arrest, you should both arrest and indict. People will plead guilty. When the evidence is thick, they'll plead guilty. It's a very straightforward thing. I shudder to imagine why we're not able to get these things right, honestly.
All right. So let's quickly move on to Ernest Daly, and this coming from the Guardian newspaper. And the big story here says fraud allegations and money laundering. EFCC intensifies manhunt for Bello, detains Sirika, freezes 300 accounts. On the bottom strip of the same newspaper, we have Ganduje summons Ayedatiwa 15 Goba aspirants over Ondo APC primary, and CBN to sell $16 million to BDCs at 1,021 naira amid fresh panic in the FX market. Mr. Cyril, let's talk about the FX market for a bit. On the Punch newspaper, it has it there that EFCC may prosecute 300 forex racketeers, and also on the Guardian, it's equally saying the same thing, that CBN releases more dollars, about $15 million to the BDCs. At a time when we thought that we have had it all good and all done, and Nigerians are beginning to be happy for a while after the dollar, skyrocketed to almost 2,000 naira. It's coming down to 1,100. Today is 1,300 naira. How do you think this will affect the real economy? So
first of all, what we can call success in the BDC market, in the exchange rate. By the way, black market exchange rate, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I hope you know that we are not supposed to be competing on our economics on black market, but let's indulge it for a moment. Let's be indulgential. To that extent, right? That reduction is artificial. It is induced. It is not organic.
Okay.
Because if I ask you now, what did we do to achieve that? Nobody has a coherent explanation for it.
But wasn't it the same thing that was done during the days of Good Luck Jonathan, when we were using our external reserves to maintain
so I'm glad we can
at 150.
So I'm glad we can say this is what Jonathan did. Is that not so?
Yeah.
The Tinubu government has said they didn't do that. That a miracle happened.
Okay.
Miracles don't happen in government like this way. Even those who went to the moon, we knew how they went. So I don't know what they're talking about, the BDs, but let's now come to the main issue. This prosecution will not. Why they even say EFCC may prosecute? You are not. It's same old, right? Because you can't prosecute anybody. They will not touch them. They won't. Believe me, they won't. They can't touch nobody for very obvious reasons. They can't. If you wanted to touch, you should have touched. Did you hear EFCC say, we are going after Yaya Bello? We're going to. Was it not the day we just saw that they went to lay siege to his house, and that they didn't succeed? And since then, we now had the media fallout. I didn't see. I could be corrected, but I don't remember the EFCC saying we're going after Bello tomorrow. We're going after Bello tomorrow. We are coming to his house. You don't tell people that you're coming after them when you're really going after them. I think it's commonsensical. You don't do that. When, like I always say, when you've done your underground investigation and you've obtained evidence, like they did with Hush Puppy in Dubai, right? You pick the person up and say, based on evidence, 1, 2, 3, so and so, you have been indicted is the word. You have been indicted. Based on indictment, the person knows that because if you're guilty and went to court and said not guilty, and in the end, the evidence was glaring, your punishment becomes 2 or 3 times more than what it would have been if you had not come to waste the time of the court. So when they say this is the evidence against, Hush Puppy pleaded guilty and begged. Could have happened in Nigeria. They would have told we may go after Hush Puppy and then, come on. So when they say this is the evidence against you, if you go to court, better be wise. Plead guilty. Cooperate with us to catch more people like you. The person will say, you have caught him pants down. He will plead. He will go to court and say, once he pleads guilty, the next thing you do is to move to move to the ruling, right? So he pleads guilty, he's convicted, then you move to ruling, and from there to this judgment and then the sentence. You saw what happened with Naira, with what's his name? Bobrisky.
Yeah.
That was some of us were wondering, if he pleaded guilty and showed remorse, why did you give him maximum sentence without even option of fine? Because that's how the law works. When you go to court and you say, I admit I did it, they say, okay, you are wise, so let's help you. You'll be convicted, but your sentence should normally become light, okay? So in this case, you're not saying we may go after the murder, they're going to go after them. Even Hadi Sirika, when you arrest the person into your office, you tell them you've been indicted. That in Nigeria we don't indict, we just arrest and charge. When you indict, the person knows that he's in hot waters. So the next thing is, when you go to court, they may even say we've charged him to you, oh judge, but he has already said he's going to cooperate with the proceedings. So this is just for formality's sake. Let him take his plea. He pleads guilty, he is convicted, then he's sentenced. All right? So I don't know how they want to play this. Because let me tell you something. Baristofeli used to say this thing here. Baristofeli. He would say that, and it is true in law, he would say that you cannot win a case based on the weakness of the defense. You win a case based on the strength of the prosecution. So if you're not, and when we look at everything the Efcc has done in the past 3 to 5 years, I have, what has Olukoyede even done internally to strengthen their prosecutorial prowess? You get what I'm saying? What has they even done internally to make sure that they are able to, tighten up loose ends and make sure that when they go to court, they win their cases?
Well, let's hold some brief for them. It's a work in progress, if you ask it.
That's your opinion, and I mean, you're entitled to it.
All right, so quickly, finally, let's move on to the last daily for today, coming from the Nation newspaper. And the big story here says Efcc arrests Sirika, slams Emefiele with fresh charges. On the top strip, we have CBN sells dollar to BDCs at 1,021 naira in fresh injection. Ekiti excited over NAC nod to generate power. GMO seeks a cancellation as Ododo submits Ondo APC report. And on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, government tightens import duty exemptions. Mr. Cyril, let's talk about this issue. Government tightening import duty exemption at a time when the economy is not doing too well, at a time when there are common denominators that we feel should be given that leeway to be part of growing the economy in our country. So the question is, when we give the custom a target to generate money for us, as against very important things that we feel are very important, like agriculture, we need food in surplus in Nigeria. But at the time when the federal government makes it like everything is for making a profit, how do you think this would affect the economy? And why isn't those in authority knowing that this is an important element that should be given the necessary leeway?
Well, let me say this. It may not be the answer to even address this issue. What we need is a leadership reset. There's no argument. You see, they will behave this way because they are wired to behave this way. You need to look at the government you have and know what to reasonably expect from them. Is all I can say. You need to understand the government you have to know what to expect from them. You couldn't do anything other than that. It will amount to cutting needless headaches and cutting needless problems. Like I said, understand the government you have and know what you're going to get from them. This is it, really. It is what it is. What do you expect them to do?
Even when we know that, we need food and maybe...
We have a president who has awarded a contract to his business partner without...
allegedly.
No, he's the president's friend. That's beyond question. How the man got the contract is still questionable to this day. But is the contract, of course it is his contract. So those sort of things, you can't really rule them out. Sometimes, what we've done in Nigeria really is that we've wrongly copied the West. We copy sometimes. I mean, we had in America, you had a President Bush, a President Clinton, then the son of President Bush became president. I don't think it's out of place for that to happen.
Okay.
But in Nigeria here, when we copy, it's for the wrong reasons. America is moving forward doing what they are doing. We are moving backwards doing what we are also doing. Even when we copy. So this is the problem, Is it necessarily out of place? Is it what government can do? Yes, they could. But is it yielding the result it should be yielding? The answer is a fat no. Which means that if it cannot give us the result, then it is a wrong procedure because the right processes always lead to the right outcomes. Singapore has proved it. Right? Israel has proved it. India has also proved it. So let's ask ourselves the salient questions. The things we are doing, are they the things we should be doing? In the end, it shouldn't even be a matter of copying any country. It's a matter of looking inwards and going back to where we disinherited ourselves of our own inheritance, of our own illustrious past, and tapping from there some inspiration that will guide us beginning from now into a greater and better future.
Very true. Very, very apt. And that's just about the time we have for newspaper reviews today. We'd love to say thank you to Mr. Cyril Abaku for being part of our show today. And when we return, EFCC chairman vows to resign should he fail to prosecute former governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State. That in a bit when we come back. Please don't go anywhere.